first this morning, Hunter Biden shared with the country this week what viewers of this program already knew. He is under federal investigation, except this time it is a tax case. As we previously reported, the FBI has already been investigating him for money laundering since 2019. Hunter Biden said in a statement on Wednesday that he takes this matter very seriously, and he is confident the review will find that I handled my affairs legally and appropriately. Senate Homeland Security Committee Chairman Ron Johnson has been investigating the Biden family corruption for over a year. Senator Johnson joins me right now. Senator, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria. Merry Christmas.
And to you, Merry Christmas to you, Senator. I want to get to your investigation and what you learned about Hunter Biden coming up. But first, let me show you these pictures, these fresh pictures that we have this morning. Very good news on the vaccine. The vaccine is being rolled out. It is being shipped as we speak out of the Pfizer manufacturing plant and headed to hospitals and the like, so that we, in fact, do have a vaccine on the market. This is something, of course, that President Trump told us to expect a long time ago. And you have been leading hearings on why we haven't had more early treatment. You had your second hearing this past Tuesday.
Oh, we need both. First of all, President Trump deserves a lot of credit. Secretary Azar for Operation Warp Speed, the Senate, in providing billions of dollars to produce a vaccine while it was being tested and approved. So now once it's approved, it can start shipping immediately. So that was a brilliant operation from my standpoint, and I hope it is as safe and effective as it certainly seems to be. But even if it is 100% safe, 100% effective, people will still get sick. People will still need to be treated, and that is what we have largely ignored, is early treatment. A lot of it was poisoned by the media, poisoned by partisan politics. But the fact that Dr. Corey testified before our committee, his testimony, by the way, has almost 3 million views, where he's talking about the success of ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine. There's growing evidence. You have favipiravir, which is the oral version, the cheap oral version of remdesivir. If used early, looks like it might work. So we've ignored all these things, and we're still going to need early treatment rather than the NIH guideline, which is basically to send people home alone and fearful and do not give any treatment until you're sick enough to go to the hospital. That's just lacks all compassion.
Senator, let me move on. Another thing that the media poisoned was any conversation about Hunter Biden doing deals with companies across the world because they censored it. Twitter would not run with the story before the election. You've been investigating this for over a year, and I want to get your take on what we know here. You put a press statement out this week basically showing all of the requests that you have put out there for Hunter Biden and his associates. Have you gotten any response, and where are we on that investigation, sir?
We've only got a response from Hunter and Devin's attorney not to cooperate. Nobody else has even responded to us. And that contrasts, I think, sharply with, for example, President Trump's children and his associates that voluntarily submitted to literally hundreds of hours of transcribed interviews that turned over thousands of documents. Didn't require a subpoena in most cases. So, I don't know why Hunter Biden and Devin Archer and their associates, Rob Walker, James Gilliar, why are they, basically hiding in the weeds?
Yeah, let me show a list of some of the deals that we've talked about in the past. And these deals include deals with China. And, of course, we've been talking all about how the Chinese Communist Party tries to bribe and blackmail people in the U.S. so that they can approve laws that are positive to China. Are you expecting a potential incoming administration that changes policy against China because of all of these deals that we hear about? We just saw the $1 billion that Hunter had taken from the Bank of China to try to come up with a hedge fund to invest in Chinese companies, Senator.
Yeah, it's a huge concern. Let's face it, Vice President Biden has not been honest with the American public. He had to know about Hunter Biden's business financial foreign entanglements, and particularly China. He shook hands with Jonathan Lee, one of his business partners. Now we found out that Hunter Biden wrote an email to his landlord asking for keys for Joe Biden, James Biden, Gangwon Dong. The signage was supposed to reflect Hudson West, which was the CEFC USA subsidiary. Now, CEFC, that's that Chinese company. It was taken over by the state in 2018. Its chairman just disappeared. Yi Jianming. This is an individual that had ties to the Communist Party of China as well as the People's Liberation Army. These are the people, this is the business that the Bidens were fully in bed with. Again, setting up an office with, to have the emissary, Gang Wandong, get a key to that same office. So we are finding more and more of how involved not only Hunter Biden was, but also James as well as Joe Biden. And he has not been truthful with the American public. And it's about time the press starts asking him questions. As I said before this election, this is not going away. This is a big mess. It's going to be a bigger mess if it becomes a Biden presidency. And that looks like the way we're headed.
You mentioned the email about the keys. I have that email here. I want to show that on screen. And this is Hunter Biden asking his partners to make extra keys for an office in China, extra keys for Joe Biden, Jill Biden, and Jim Biden. Also, the chairman of CEFC, as you see, Gang Wandong, they all had keys to the same office. It's pretty extraordinary, actually. Now, you have been working on this investigation for over a year, Senator, when you first brought to light the issues around Burisma and how he was being paid $50,000 a month by being on the board of Burisma. Now we find out it was actually much more than that, or potentially because of this investigation. How many times did you meet with Bill Barr, the Attorney General, to discuss this? Because Bill Barr, we understand now, knew about these investigations. Obviously, the Attorney General running the Department of Justice knew that there was a federal criminal investigation into Hunter Biden's dealings, but he sat on it. He didn't want to let it out during an election. You met with him many times. He was well aware of your investigation. How come he didn't mention it to you?
Well, quite honestly, when I met with the Attorney General, I was really talking about the corrupt FBI investigation related to the Russian hoax. So I don't believe I ever even really talked about our investigations, Hunter Biden, which, by the way, we never targeted the Bidens. They came, that whole issue was brought forth during the impeachment. That's when we started expanding our Ukrainian investigation to include his financial dealings. And then when we started seeing all these wire transfers that were connected to Hunter Biden, and we're not just talking about, again, Hunter said he never made a cent off of China. No, he made millions of dollars. And there are other transactions with this Hudson West company, which is on the signage. That's Hudson West, CEFC US. Okay, that's what the signage is going to be for that business. Hudson West literally has tens of millions of dollars of wire transfers back and forth. Again, I don't know all the details, but they are troubling that you have that kind of dollars being exchanged without any answers whatsoever. So again, if there's nothing wrong, I have no idea why. Hunter Biden, come on, talk to us. Devin Archer, talk to us. James Gilliar, Rob Walker, contact our office. Tell us what you know. The American people have a right to know. And again, this isn't going away.
What is your reaction to the AG not releasing this information that there was an investigation during an election? Should the American people have understood that there was a federal criminal investigation into the son of one of the candidates? And, somebody said the other day on Mornings with Maria on Fox Business, they said, well, Joe Biden didn't know anything about it. So one of my panelists said, well, if Joe Biden didn't know anything about it, tell me, what was Hunter Biden selling? So I ask you, number one, your reaction to AG not releasing the information. And number two, what specifically was Hunter Biden selling?
Well, I'm sympathetic for keeping investigations confidential unless there's an indictment. I understand the process behind that. But when you're talking about investigations within the political realm, particularly one that would have affected the impeachment trial of a sitting U.S. president in the U.S. Senate, that should have been relevant information. The fact that they had Hunter Biden's computer that had all these emails back in December 2019, that was before the trial. That was part of that impeachment. We should have known that.
All right, real quick before you go, this upcoming Wednesday, you are holding a hearing. You're holding hearings on examining the irregularities in the 2020 election. Tell me about this upcoming week that will take place this Wednesday in the Senate.
Well, this is an unsustainable state of affairs in America. We've got a large percentage of the American population not believing the result of the election was legitimate. We've had to live with that for 4 years because the Democrats never recognized the legitimacy of President Trump. And now we see all these irregularities. The American people deserve answers. So I'm really not bringing a bias to this thing. We need to get to the bottom of this. So we're going to examine the irregularities. What we can explain, we'll take that off the table. But if things that are unexplained, we need to further investigate, and the American people deserve the truth and the answers.
Yeah, so we'll be watching that hearing on Wednesday. Before you go, Senator, real quick, why do you think all of this Hunter Biden news is coming out now? Isn't it interesting that the plan to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris together as running mates unfolded long ago, but now suddenly we see even Democrats talking about Joe Biden's son?
Because it's after the election. The media is in the tank for the Democrats, social media. I mean, the level of suppression and censorship just proves how the mainstream media and social media have a far greater impact in terms of interfering with our elections and determining the outcome than anything that Russia ever could have hoped to achieve in 2016. The real interference in our election is by our media and their bias. It's very unfortunate. It's dangerous for our democratic republic.
Senator, it's good to see you this morning. Thank you so much, sir. We'll be continuing to watch your investigation. Senator Ron Johnson joining us this morning. Coming up, the man behind